So up YouTube, a little bit of a fun little history lesson for everyone regarding brutal death metal, but kind of like I wanted to really focus on like three bands in particular I'm going to be focusing on today, but pretty much uh, the modern slam sound, I think everyone can agree that it was popularized by Devourment. Uh, and the type of slam sound that am referring to is less of that bouncy, like old school death metal, New York death metal sound of stuff like pyrexia and suffocation. More so the sound, pretty much, like I said, popularized by Devourment. It was a lot less bouncy, more like that Gorvent, cephalotripsy sound. I'm just gonna focus on three bands that really honed in on the like Devourment sound before Devourment. Not to say that like Devourment copied the band. I don't even think Devourment even knew about these bands, but the first band that I really wanted to focus on, not that it has to do a lot with Devourment's sound necessarily, just more so that is important because it to me is the first like brutal death metal band that was slamming. This is Gorbage from their 1990 demo. In particular, their song "Consumption of Sanguinolent Vomit." It's a tough title, but yeah, this is probably the first BDM song to have slams. It came out in 1990. I didn't even know about this band, but it's a Canadian band. They have like They have like four demos total from early to mid '90s. They pretty much like slammed before Suffocation, Internal Bleeding, Daemonacy. Didn't slam before Ripping Corpse. If you watched my Slam Before Suffocation video, I also highlight a lot of other cool bands that slammed before Suffocation. Like everyone says, like the Liege of Inveracity is like the one big slam. But next is Hyborian with a demo from 1992, also Canadian, just like Gorbage. This one has a frog vocal start that's kind of similar to like Disgorge and Mortal Decay of like the Grizzly Aftermath and like the other 95 demo from Disgorge, how they both kind of start that. But like I said, way before Afterbirth, way before Repudiation, which was way before Devourment, Afterbirth and Repudiation were kind of like the predecessor to Devourment with the slams and the like frog vocal, like the. Really cool song. A track to check out for me personally for this is Temple. I really wish that someone would reissue these tapes. Like they're so hard to find and like really cool like obscure bands if you're trying to get into like proto Devourment sounding slam. But the last band here, when I heard this, I almost fell out of my chair because it's like 3 years before Devourment was even a band. And this is before like Repudiation as well. And I was completely floored by just how much modern slam sounding this is. And it's a band that like you can't even find any information on. Like it's so obscure, like no one even knew about what this band was. But this is a band from California. The band name is Mierda. They had a 1994 demo in Spanish called Los Corrados de Matamores. God forbid me, I'm Greek, so I'm not Spanish. So if I butchered that, my apologies. I failed Spanish class in high school. But yeah, I looked it up. Mierda means shit in Spanish. But yeah, like I mentioned, they kind of just take that modern, like, Devourment, Repudiation sound, like, 3 years before the Impaled demo. this like pre-necrocide, which was Devourment before they were Devourment. So it sounds way more like Devourment than that project as well. Nothing even comes close that I have found. Like I'm not here to try to like rewrite history. Like, oh, like these bands don't get credited. Like, why would this get credited when 100 people know what it is? You know what I mean? Like, just because it was first doesn't mean that it was the thing that made modern slam sound. You know what I mean? Like, again, I don't even think that Brad or anyone in Devourment even knows any of these bands at all. But yeah, no, I just think that it's cool to kind of like we kind of found out that it was like Suffocation didn't start slam. Like, that's obviously like false. Like, there's so much slam before Suffocation. Like, sure, Suffocation was the band that had that slam for Liege, but it's like, they all wore Ripping Corpse shirts in the CDs for Effigy. They obviously knew of Ripping Corpse's sound. Ripping Corpse had slams in their like 87 and 88 demos. So it's no secret, Daemonacy was like, if you really want to be technical, like, New Jersey was really the birthplace of slam, not New York, with Daemonacy and Ripping Corpse. Internal Bleeding says, slam, slam, slam. It's just, again, it's one of them things where it's like there was like pre-internet, so a lot of these band members, the only other way to listen to music was the underground tape trading scene. So when Internal Bleeding got like Daemonacy tapes in the mail, I was like, oh my god, but it's not like they had the knowledge of the internet to go and just find really awesome sounding like groove oriented death metal and brutal death metal, even thrash, like Uncle Slam and Ripping Corpse and Forced Entry had slams in their music as well. So if you really want to get technical, slam did come from thrash metal. I know a lot of people are also on the wave of like, without hardcore, there would be no slam. And I think that is a incredibly false and redundant statement, because it's when people like Internal Bleeding say that they were influenced by hardcore, and they say that like Voracious Content is a very hardcore street sounding brutal death metal album, they're not talking about modern hardcore with windbreakers and two steps and all this mumbo jumbo, knocked loose, drain, whatever nonsense of hardcore there is nowadays. They're talking Agnostic Front, Biohazard, Breakdown, that type of hardcore, like the 80s and early 90s New York hardcore, which all of it, if you go and listen to it, it's pretty much just thrash metal for like jocks, like Leeway, all that stuff. It's pretty much just thrash metal. Like, it's like poor man's thrash metal. It's thrash metal made by people who can't write thrash metal, and it's just hardcore punk. You know what I mean? But I also like to thank everyone who checked out the new Impure Conception promo. 2 advanced singles coming from the album Veins of Sorrow, coming hopefully sometime by summer, closer to that. It's going to be called Veins of Sorrow, but I do appreciate everyone has checked out, bought shirts, bought CDs that are available on Bandcamp for Prelude to Agony. Thank you again, and peace out.